is your name?
My name is Igor Rozkladai. I'm a lawyer for the Media Law Institute. It's a non-government organization which works for the safety of the freedom of speech and journalists in Ukraine.
Okay. And where were you born?
I'm born here in Kyiv.
Yeah. And where do you live now?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Tell us a bit about your organization.
We started 9 years ago as an NGO which aimed to protect rights for freedom of speech and for information. We make some editorial learning courses for journalists from Ukraine and as well as from other countries. And media lawyers, we have Media Law Summer School. It's a big project which aimed to make our lawyers more have more knowledge in the topic of the media law. Also, we made a lot of monitorings, analysis, and especially drafting. We draft a lot of laws. For example, a law on access to public information, which is one of the best by quality in the world. It has 8 place by international rate, and we also draft it with cooperation with our partners. It's our work.
Wonderful. How are you involved in Euromaidan? What have you been doing over the past few weeks?
I was here since maybe second day, but first week it was quite passive because we waiting. It was less activity to do here, maybe some speeches, but not at all. But after Berkut beat students here in Maidan, I came on Mikhailivka Square, where was the people who was beaten and who ran away from Berkut, and we started with attorney Dmitro Gozi. We started activity to take information about attacks, to take some legal help for the people, and to find attorney who will take their case and go to court and find some to make some legal activity on this. And we cooperate with our partner. It's Center for Civil Liberties. They became as a platform for Euromaidan source. It was like hotline, internet line, and also telephone. And a lot of people called here and tell that they was beaten. There was some attacks. Also was some information that someone planned to attack Maidan. A lot of information, but it helps us to collect a lot of information about whole picture what happened here and during days since maybe 24th November. Also, we as an organization talk to Euromaidan source, and we take part about journalists, and we have our own registry for journalists, and we know that near 57 journalists was attacked from 24th of November to December 2nd, and plus the case of Tatiana Chornova. It's a separate case, I think you know about it. And we monitoring the situation. Today our partner Telekritika got an answer for information request about how much cases opened as a legal procedure, and just only 8 from 50 cases we have now. It's terrible to my mind, and I think we need to make some statement about this, because all our police and prosecution office shows that they don't want to open case. For example, if Berkut beat your camera, they say it's not a crime case. But by our crime code, any activity which not allow journalists to make their job, it could be crime case. But we have no problem, and I think we need to work with them first in future.
Wonderful. What have you been doing today for Euromaidan?
Today is quite less activity because this period is I think it's a period between one attacks and another attacks. As I see, we have anti-Maidan again in Mariinsky Park, and I think new cases will be in the nearest days. That's why we need to monitor situation and maybe to help the people. I help that guys. It's security of Maidan. I gave us some apples, some food because they need our support. Because Kievans, first of all, could support Maidan, not people from region. They also could, but we can do it quickly. Because these people, I understand that maybe 10% of my income I need to pay now for Euromaidan because these guys stand for my rights, for the rights of my children.
Why is Euromaidan important?
It's important for me in a lot of cases, not only for Ukraine. I think it's important for Europe mostly. Because Ukraine is a country which plays between two worlds. It's Asian world and European world. And what happened with Ukraine will have big influence for all European countries. And unfortunately, Europe, as to me, they don't understand it maybe in whole picture. Because Ukraine, yes, it's a fact that Ukraine has bad promo on other countries. Because if you're asking what is Ukraine, no, Klitschko, Chernobyl, Femen, it's not picture of Ukraine. It's not picture of country. We have a lot of, we have great history. We have a lot of interesting places. We have, for example, biggest desert in Europe, and a lot less people know about it. We will have, and this country is quite interesting, but its people. We have a lot of people who born here, and they go to USA, to other European countries, and made some scientist work, some art, sculpture, and so on, so on. You know this famous song. How it called? Ukrainian is Shedrik, Carol of the Bells. It also came from Ukraine. The text was made by Ukrainian people who emigrated to USA. That's why at this time Euromaidan shows that Ukraine is quite other countries than Europeans and Americans and other people know as before. From another side, Ukraine shows that civil rights must be protected, and it shows direct protection. Euromaidan is direct protection of civil rights because they was denied from several years. We have a lot of trials which broke, for me, civil rights. They was unfair, untransparent, and in this case, Euromaidan is very, very important because the end of Euromaidan must show that we change this country, we change the system. It's time now for changing system of Ukraine, not people, not Klitschko and so on and so on. We stand for the major changes in country, changing for principles, changing some mechanism and so on. Because we need to change our country for the better life. Because we have all resources for it, but we don't have good power, even in Kyiv. We for several years have some guys who came from another cities and look at this city like business project without any favor for heritage, for people, and they build a lot of, even this one. They build it with any consultation with Kievans who lives here for many years and for many maybe generations, and that's why we also staying here.
What is the best possible outcome of Euromaidan?
Ooh, it's quite difficult question because nobody knows, this moment maybe nobody understands how to find the outcome or exit maybe from Euromaidan, because it's maybe the problem of our power, which has some specific way of thinking. They looking on the black and white. They don't have view on gray color or other colors. Or it could be, they decide it's our decision or their decision, and no compromise, no dialogue, and this is a problem. For Euromaidan, the best way to change, at least to change president, at least to change, and first of all to change Ministry of Internal Affairs, because he must be. I think a crime case might be opened above him, because it's his people beaten students here. And if he couldn't control, he might go out or he might go to jail. I don't know any other possible way. But at this moment, it's very difficult to make some view how we end. What will be the end of Maidan? Because yes, in best way to change system, change people, to make new elections transparent and so on. But we need to understand that a lot of risks here, and risks not only in the legal way or some untransparent elections, but also in the way of thinking of population, because a lot of people, not in Kyiv, in other cities and towns, they have still Soviet way of thinking. And they still don't understand that they have rights and they also have obligations, even to protect their own rights. They waiting for some guy who will came and made them, I don't know, happiness. And this is the one thing we need to work with. We need to talk to these people. We need to describe what is the system of the power of Ukraine, because a lot of people even don't know what is this. That we have president, we have executive, we have legislative, court system, and this is a problem here. People don't know about this. And this is also a way to work in future. And Maidan, in fact, I think it might stay here for some period of time, but a lot of people who connected to Maidan now works outside, and Maidan is like root of this big protest, which going to a lot of in cities for one way, and a lot of groups, and this is future of Maidan. But how it would end, I don't know.
What is the worst possible outcome? What outcome do you fear the most?
Worst possible if people stop support Maidan, and if I don't know. I think the most worst if our power made some provocations which will have a result some blood. I think this is the worst, because they could do it. They want that Euromaidan stopped us some protests like we now present, and became to some conflicts with blood, with beaten people and so on. And I think this is the worst way of Maidan. But I believe that it wouldn't happen. Because a lot of people understand that if we stay in like peaceful protest, we will win. If we go into war, it's always unpredictable way. Because one people start in war and other people use it, as always.
Okay, the last question. If people around the world are seeing this video, people in Ukraine, people in Europe, people in the United States, what's the most important thing that they should know about what's going on here?
I can ask people not to read at least Russian news, because Russia in this conflict very actively participate. A lot of protests, a lot of organizations supported by some people who are or pro-Russian or Russian. We can say it in legal way, but we understand that this Russian hairs staying here. And if you want to know what happened here, look at Ukrainian sources at all, and come here and you can talk with people and you could understand. It's the better way. Because unfortunately, even some very well-known media in Europe, I read this article, they are not. It looks like they read some Russian news or Russian articles and make their own view. It's not good for me. It's for me. It's better way to came here and to ask Ukrainians in Facebook. A lot of Ukrainians English speaking stay in Facebook, and you can find any of them and talk and understand what happened and what their vision for Euromaidan. I think this is the best way. And also, I think Europe has a good lesson for protection rights, because in Europe it's maybe 40 years where was such for the protests in Europe, and Ukraine shows that it's a better way sometimes to make some peaceful protests like this one, not to have aggressive attack with fire, with some conflicts with police. It's a better way to stay how we stay now here.
Perfect.